Good day, Tamers. Welcome back to another episode with me, Get Swiftly. Don't normally do it, first time of the year if you don't mind. If you're new here, subscribe, like, comment, do some cool things, interactions. YouTube likes that. I like interaction too. I generally try and answer as many questions as possible. If asked that I can answer, but not always the case. And thank you, America, for making me your favourite YouTuber from across the pond, because apparently like 92% of you guys watch me from America. I'm not sure if it's some kind of like weird baiting of yourselves, but for whatever reason I enjoy that you want to see your fellow tamers from across the pond. But today's episode is going to be about the unification of Digimon in 2025. As you're well aware, as of the 19th of January, we had this lovely thing pop up, which is essentially saying like, hey, in Japan, we're going to try and get as much of this done as possible, and we're going to start slowing down a little bit so that the other regions can catch up to us. I think China's like 1 or 2 sets behind us now. They're very close. Korea's just had like BT6, but they've had like a BT6 with like some BT7 cards in there, some like BT8 cards in there. It's been like not necessarily like a jumble upset like we had like 1 and 1.5, but more just kind of like we're just getting good cards. We're just getting all the good cards in. We can always give you the bad cards later. Cards that I've never seen play, never will see play. Get them out of here. We need to catch you up. But yeah, for a lot of the sets, they want to get us to here, and this is BT20, and they want us all to be on BT20. Now, as far as I'm aware, the only other card game that does this is Magic the Gathering. Now, there could be some others, not always like big into sort of the more niche card games, cards like Vanguard, Weiss, and then some of the other like obscure card games that I can't think of right now. They might all be like global. Flesh and Blood. I don't know if Flesh and Blood is global Shadowverse. I don't know if they're like global or it's like Saga per region. But having to put us all into a situation where BT20 is the next set that we all join together is going to be amazing for everyone, I think. It's also going to slowly crush the living soul out of us over here in the English meta, possibly China and possibly Korea. It's going to be it's going to be a year basically. You've got to go, I want to play this specific deck for this era of time. I want to play this deck. I want to play that deck. I think just grabbing everything you need is going to be really awkward. I'm one of the very few people that will ever see you out there that says, get a place of everything if you can afford it, put it away because you never know it's going to be good. And we're going to go over that technically in tomorrow's episode. But for now, this is what we're looking at for Japan. So they've got ST 18 and 19 coming in April. We don't know anything about that yet. We won't learn anything about this until after BT 17 comes out for them. I think it comes out for them in March. So they've got EX6 that we're just getting stuff for now, which is beautiful, beautiful set. Can't wait for it. We get that in like June. Birthday set for me. Then we get BT17. Then we're going to get this in April. In May, we're going to get EX7. BT18 in June for Japan. BT19 in September, Japan. EX8 in November. And then everyone gets BT20 in January. This is weird for us because we're so used to them having their next set in, like they have a Christmas set normally, so they have BT whatever that is, like BT20 would have been their Christmas set, comes out like the 23rd, 22nd or whatever, like the Fridays before Christmas. I think this year Christmas is on Monday or Tuesday, so it would have been, let's see if it's Tuesday, it would have been 4th, it would have been like the 21st. But for us over here, we know everything up until June. Well, technically we know what BT 17 is going out. So we've just had EX5 for January. We're having BT15 in February. We're having the bunnies and doggos in March. We have BT16 in May. We have EX6 in June. We have BT17 in August. We have to get 18, 19 and 20, and we have to get 20 in January. So for us, we're going to have to go, August is here. So we're going to have to, no, what am I doing? August is here. So we're going to have to go, August is 17. That would be 18. 12 would be 19, go into this. As well as having to have access to this. Or it might be a case of like, I don't want to do this. 8, 10, 12 is 19, 19 straight away into the new year we go into 20, which can be really weird. I think we need to have at least 6 to 8 weeks between like formats. EX7 and EX8 have to be like nothing formats in terms of like the cards have to be just trash, and they're only there basically just to like say we did something for that period of time. I think that BT20 for all of us in January is going to be such a weird thing for the English to catch up on. To start doing like double sets or like mixing in the EX sets into BT sets, which is probably something they don't want to do because you're having like 150 card sets again, which isn't great for anyone. So I think what they need to do here is make these bad, or make it so that we don't actually join together until we hit BT21, which would be April again. Yeah, because they're not saying they're not doing anything March. So if they do April, so they go January, April, July, October, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, so but I think maybe BT21 would be better for everyone, because that way we can go, okay, English meta you can have, December you can have BT19, January you can have EX8, February you can have BT20, and then April you can have BT21. And that's where I think unification would be much better if you try and spread it out, like have it 2 months per set rather than having like a set every other month or like every 6 weeks, which we've had in the past, and a lot of people didn't like that, and it's going to be a year of that again, and I don't think a lot of people enjoy it either. Card games right now are not in a good place for money spending. If you're part of the Yu-Gi-Oh community, you can see a lot of people obviously up in arms. If you want to play good decks right now, you're spending thousands of pounds to play. I mean, we're not playing that much here, but we'll go over that again in tomorrow's Market Watch about how expensive things are currently getting. But that's more because of situations with the ban list. But like, I am all for having. God damn it! Stop touching things, Mr. Rio. I'm all for having a unified card game, because I like having the situation where we don't walk into a format and it's already been decided for us, and then it gets a ban. And it's not so much that, oh no, we've got to think for ourselves, we need to like make our own cards. It's, I would have liked to have tried this cool idea that you had for us. Alright, it was really super oppressive, and I understand it was awful for everyone who played in that format, but I'd have also liked to have seen how the card game went. I want to see if people have made adjustments, if people actually don't think it's like the best deck in the format anymore because we've had 2 months or 3 months or 6 months of watching it like in a different format. There's nothing wrong with that, but then at the same time, you even need to make ban lists more constant, so every set you get a ban list, which I think is going to be horrible, because you need to start printing cards that you want to ban straight away. Or 2, you need to listen to feedback really quickly, because if you put a card out there that's absolutely dominating, or it like one single deck is essentially running away with look at the format, you've got to look at it and go like, alright, we're restricting things earlier, because having to go through 4 to 6 months of the same deck just winning everything because nothing can touch it, or I think in Japan they were doing things where they're having to say like, you can't bring this deck in anymore because we're fed up with this deck only being the only deck that can win anything, was kind of a big problem for Japan. And I understand that, you know, locals is like live or die in Japan. A lot of people complain about having all we want is 8-man locals, but Japan does seem to have a lot of locals, and that's possibly better for the environment than what we're having over here, where, you know, only 8 or 9 locals in the UK is still currently running because they couldn't afford to continue running Digimon, because essentially other card games came out, or people went back to their old card games because they have all these cards for them and they got nostalgic. Or in case in America where there's like 5,000 people who want to play competitively and they physically can't because they only have 2,000 tickets to go to an event, and that to me also feels really weird. So I hope if we do this unification thing, especially because Bandai is very much a Bandai of America rather than Bandai of the world in terms of the English card game, that they actually look at how they do things for America. Like, if you look at the map that we showed the other day in the big 48-minute conversation we had, it's still a fairly good sized place to have, like, you know, the American competitors play. Also, good luck for the weekend. This is going to come out like Thursday, so good luck to you guys. But then if you look at like One Piece, which is obviously their favourite card game right now because it's making them a lot of money. Digimon used to make them a lot of money, I'm not going to lie. It's not quite double the size, but it's nearly double the size. And if you looked at the One Piece European finals that happened last week for us, congratulations to all the judges who played out there. Big shout out to Adam, we love Adam. 2,500 people, that's big. That's, even for America, that's big. That's massive. Like, that's probably one of the biggest tournaments held for any card game in Europe. I think Yu-Gi-Oh had one that was like 28, and that was more recently. That was really big. I think Pokemon doesn't even do that. And you gotta think like Pokemon pricing is money based these days. So people who want to go play card games, you know, you buy tickets out, you want to go. Unfortunately, Digimon 4 finals was only 500 and, what was it, 12? But they all sold out. So obviously it shows that people want to go. And that's a good thing. The big tournaments for Digimon do sell out. It's just sort of like the more niche things. So like regionals in the UK doesn't always sell out, but it generally sells out fairly well. Ultimate Cups aren't selling out very well because people, I think, were either fed up with the format or people were fed up of what was currently winning those formats. For instance, like Machinedramon held like back a lot of decks so that couldn't deal with it, but it wasn't the best necessary deck in Ultimate Cup. But then if you talk to a lot of the people who were winning Ultimate Cup, they were saying, you know, oh, how did you deal with XYZ matchup? And they just went, you don't face it. That's how you deal with it. You just hope you don't face it because you can't beat it. And that's kind of showing sometimes that a format decision isn't always great, which is again why I was talking about the whole BT20 is you have to hope that BT17 isn't this weird set where the ace level 7s come out and all of a sudden like they just swing formats to a point where you're playing Diaboromon or you're playing just a deck that wants to run these level 7 aces because there's nothing else to do. We've also seen LM3, which means that the Bond decks can come back, which I'm not disagreeing is a good or bad decision. But it's an interesting decision because they can walk from level 3 rookies that, depending on the situation, especially for like Agumon has the ability to throw itself back onto the field through means not necessarily by its own design. So there's always a chance that you blow up a Skull Greymon, that Skull Greymon then gets to play an Agumon, the attacking effects have now triggered and finished, and so now you can counter with Blast Ace. I don't know how that really physically works. I'd probably have to find out from one of our good judge friends, and that probably sounds like it was too good. But if you could potentially Skull Greymon, kill Skull Greymon goes, okay, I'll bring back an Agumon goes, okay, then I'm on the field now. Oh, timing for aces here, I'm going to ace into my level 7 bonds, and just says, no. That could be a thing. EX7, we don't know anything about this. I don't think we know anything about ST 18 or 19 at all yet. 18 we don't know anything about, 19 we don't know, 8 we don't know anything, 20 we don't know about. I just hope that these aren't pushing power creep. Like, just give decks good stuff, make sure everything's like fairly good in the format. Don't make like one good deck in every single set, make everything like fairly moderately playable, and then go from there. Seekers is finished, we know this now. There shouldn't be any more O2 stuff coming out soon. Possibly, like, you know, later on if we do get a second movie, which I haven't seen the first movie from this set yet because UK, unfortunately. But yeah, this will be the next set. Obviously, we're going to get the new Liberator stuff, so I expect Liberators to be BT18 or BT19 focused, and then possibly building up a bit more over that. And yeah, I hope the decks are actually half decent. Oh wait, that's what it is. The decks. What am I about? Of course it is. It's the Liberator decks. Only 30 minutes in this video, and I just figured out it was Liberator decks. So yeah, so we know that BT18 should be Liberator based. So going from that, hopefully they're not just instantly like this green deck's just too powerful, so everything's getting suspended and everything's getting murdered. Or it's a yellow deck where everything's getting suspended and everything's getting DP reduced because they can't stop it. But as long as nothing is essentially so power creeped that nothing else can play in the format, hopefully we don't have to have issues where we are having to beg for ban lists. And that's the only thing I can come to think of. I generally like our new designers / developers. I like our new head developer and head director. You know, Japan is a culture of forgiveness and, you know, excruciating pain at some point. So I'm happy that we had the letter from the producer to say sorry. And going forward, I'd like to hear more from the producer to say, hey, what are your opinions? What are you actually doing in these formats? What is your like pan of thinking? I know for Magic has some sets that are like 5 or 6 years in development before they come out. Other sets are like a year, 18 months, like 2 years, and a lot of people complain, go like, "Oh, Digimon can't do that because they can't afford to spend much time on it." But BT18 and ST18 and 19, they could have been in development for at least a year or a year and a half, because obviously you're having to put up more media. Liberators is a manga / webcomic. Have to put people into like design the webcomic, have to put people into write it, have to think about the process, you have to think about the Digimon you want in it, you have to think about how you're going to schedule it in with everything else, and like other like media that we've had. Like Adventure didn't really turn up until now, and that was out 2 years ago, although technically the card game was tied to the actual reboot series. We know this. Ghost Game didn't really get much support until quite after its start. Obviously 8, 9 and 10 was like, here's a splash of everything, and then we got more in 10, if I remember correctly. I think it was 10 or it was 11. No, 10. And then we've had bits more from reprint set, which was technically the Ghost Game set with reprints in it. And that's like how it's gone. But like essentially we've never really had a series where it's like, here's a series instantly into like the new cards. Even Japan, I think Japan might have had it a bit more simple than we did. Obviously we have to have the like 6 months, 9 months delay that they don't deserve, that they don't get with their stuff. Whereas, I'm trying to think now, Brain's going dead. Seekers for them was BT14. BT14 for them was like June, and Seekers came out in like March. So like there was a few months difference. Whereas Liberators comes out in March, I think, the webcomic. We get this in April, and then we possibly get the first set in June with everything in. So it's not as long a distance. But as long as we keep getting support for like old stuff that we, you know, don't necessarily like breaks the game, but you know, keeps it relevant, you know, that's always something good. The fact that the fish deck hasn't taken off just yet, we'll see, right? Because EX6 is getting that weird bird, dragon, also aqua thing. But I digress. BT12, fantastic. BT10, 20, BT20, fantastic. Let's all play together. Let's all have a marketplace that works, where cards are all going crazy and out of control because we don't see into the future anymore. And yeah, that's kind of where we're at right now. But that being said, I'm all for the unification of Digimon, and hopefully Tamers you are as well. But ciao for now. See you guys in the next video, and if we don't, have a great weekend. Bye bye.